chapter for class 6, that is living organisms. Now what do we mean by living? Living organisms have got certain features which are not there in case of the non-living things. For example, you have got man, dog, cat, they all are living, whereas the table or the cupboard, they are non-living. And what are the 7 features which are very important? This is how we can learn about them. The first one is all living organisms, they need food. That is to grow and to move. And whatever food is not digested will be excreted. Now, after that, all the living organisms are respiring and they all respond to stimuli. Coming to the next, and one of the important features of the living organisms is that all living organisms reproduce, and that is how we have the next generation or the young ones of all the living organisms. Now these living organisms are staying in an area, and that area is what is known as the habitat. But to stay in that habitat, उनको क्या चाहिए? उनको कुछ ऐसे features चाहिए, ऐसी qualities चाहिए, ऐसे characteristics चाहिए, जिसकी मदद से they can survive in that particular area, जहाँ उनको रहने की habit है. So that is the habitat, and those features are known as the adaptations. So adaptations are the features that help it to survive in a particular habitat. Now depending upon the different kinds of areas, we divide the habitat into 2 broad categories, into 2 main groups. The first is the terrestrial and the next is the aquatic. Now coming to the terrestrial means land. Land पे कौन कौन से हैं? हम ऊपर से शुरू करेंगे. सबसे ऊपर वाली हाइट वाला कौन सा habitat है? Mountain. Then coming little lower, we have the grasslands, and finally we have the desert. For every habitat, we should know at least one plant and one animal and what features they have. So coming to the mountain, we will study about the polar bear. Now all the animals that are staying on the mountains, it is so cold. उनको, they don't have a sweater, they don't have a coat. तो उनको भगवान ने क्या दिया है? उनको God has given them thick skin and fur. So we all know that wool, that is a insulator. It keeps the body heat inside. Same is the case with the fat. So they have got thick skin and fur. And there are the goats who are surviving on the mountains. They have got strong hooves by means of which they can easily climb the mountains. And lastly, we come to the trees. What are the adaptations? We have seen pine trees on the mountains. अब उनकी branches कैसे होती हैं? अगर उनकी branches ऐसी हैं, so they will break. So the branches are not like this. The branches are sloping. And when they are sloping, the snow just slides off. Now, another thing that is an adaptation is that there are needle-like leaves, and the leaves also help for the snow to slide. Coming to the next adaptation is the grassland or the forest. We need to remember that वहाँ पे 2 तरह के animals हैं. एक हैं जो शिकार करते हैं और दूसरे जो शिकार होते हैं. That is the predators and the prey. और दोनों को क्या चाहिए? Speed. जो शिकार करते हैं उनको speed चाहिए दूसरे animal को पकड़ने के लिए, और जो शिकार होते हैं उनको speed किस लिए चाहिए? उनसे बचने के लिए. Another feature is that eyes. Now in case of the lion, they have to focus. उन्होंने अपना target देखना है, अपना शिकार देखना है. उनकी eyes कहाँ पे हैं? सामने. And there are other animals, जो deer है जिसने बचना है lion से, उसको सब तरफ देखना है कि कहीं से lion आ रहा है to attack me. So he has got the eyes on the sides. Now these are some of the adaptations of these animals. Coming to the desert animals and plants, we come to the camel. Now one thing to remember is कि desert के अंदर पानी कम होता है, पानी उनको बचाना है. And जो plants और animals हैं उनके adaptations mainly किस लिए हैं? To save and conserve water. सबसे पहले जो camel है जो वो excretion करता है, that is either in the form of the dry dung or less urination. Naturally पानी बाहर उसको नहीं करना है, loss of the water has to be avoided. Next is that it stores the water, क्योंकि उसको पानी बहुत दिन के बाद मिलता है, इसलिए वो अपने body के अंदर पानी को store करता है, फूड को स्टोर करता है. एंड इट हैज गॉट बिग eyelashes, जिससे जब सैंडस्टॉर्म आता है, the eyelashes they just cover the eyes and no sand goes inside the eyes. Coming to the cactus, the adaptations are leaves. Now we all know that there are spines on the cactus. These spines are what? These are the leaves. Why? Because they are reduced in size. अब हम सबको पता है कि leaves के अंदर स्टोमेटा होते हैं जिसमें से gases and water vapor exchange होता है. लेकिन कैक्टस क्योंकि डेजर्ट में है वो पानी का लॉस अफोर्ड नहीं कर सकता, इसलिए उसके स्टोमेटा या तो कम होने चाहिए या होने नहीं चाहिए, और अगर हैं तो दे आर sunken in pits. And now this is facilitated, या ये किस तरह से पॉसिबल है? बिकॉज उसकी लीव्स आर रिड्यूस्ड इन साइज, दे आर रिड्यूस्ड टू फॉर्म स्पाइंस. अब जब लीव्स ही रिड्यूस हो गई साइज में, स्पाइंस बन गई, तो उनके स्टोमेटा रिड्यूस हो गए ऑटोमेटिकली, इसलिए पानी का लॉस भी reduce हो गया. लेकिन जो cactus है, it is we can see that there are green structures on it which are fleshy also. ये green structure क्या है? Are they the leaves? No, they are the stem. और क्योंकि वो stem green in color है, तो it is doing the photosynthesis. और इसकी जो roots हैं, they are very very deep because उसने बहुत नीचे से पानी लेना होता है for it to survive. Coming to the next is the aquatic habitat. In this aquatic, aqua means water. So when we are talking about the water, it means we are talking about the animals and the plants that are living in the water. So सबसे पहला animal जो हमारे ध्यान में आता है, that is the fish. Now we all know fish is in water. It has to take in the oxygen from the water. तो उसके लिए it has the adaptation. उसका feature, body feature क्या है? That it has got the gills to respire. Then the streamlined shape so that it can cut through the water, and then it has got the fins by means of which it can swim, it can change the direction with the help of the tail fin, and these are some of the features or adaptations in case of fish. But there are some animals like the whales and the dolphins, they cannot take in oxygen dissolved in water, they take in oxygen from the air. अब एयर से उनको अगर ऑक्सीजन लेनी है तो वो क्या करेंगे, वो पानी के सरफेस के ऊपर आएंगे, पानी के ऊपर आएंगे थोड़ा सा, so that they can take in the oxygen from the air. Now you must have seen plants also, they grow in the water. Now these plants, because we know roots का main function क्या है, to absorb water from the soil. Now the whole plant is in the water, so उसको absorb as such नहीं करना है पानी, तो कहीं पे भी उसकी बॉडी में से जा सकता है. So उसकी roots are mainly to support the plant to let it stand in the water. अब उसकी leaves जो हैं, they should not be torn because of the water current or the water flow, इसलिए they are ribbon like. And coming to the stems, they are long and they are hollow and they are light. We all know जो चीज़ hollow है, जो light है weight में, वही float कर सकती है. So ये जो water plants है, they are floating in the water. इसके लिए उनकी जो stems हैं, they are hollow and they are light, which helps them to float in the water. So I hope you are going to remember the different kinds of the adaptations and also what are the main feature of the living organisms. I'm just summing these up. That is, all living things, they need food, and when they eat food, they grow and they also move. But some of the food is not digested, so they excrete, and they also need energy for which they respire. And there are 3 R's, 1, 2, 3 in the end. Remember, respire, respond to stimuli, and reproduce. So this is your second chapter of the marathon for class 6. All the best, students, and stay tuned to my channel. God bless all.